Hi, welcome to Hook and Chat with Anniegurumi and our friends at Hobium Yarns. Hi friends, this is Annie from Anniegurumi. Thank you so much for joining me again for Hook and Chat. This is week 5 and I find it absolutely amazing that we've been doing this for 5 weeks now. And I've really been plugging away at my friendship blankets and it's getting very, very, very big, and it's much too big for my camera. So I am just going to keep on working on it and just show you that, you know, it's quite large. This is folded in half, so you can imagine how big it is. But I'm going to continue working here, and I just want to say how much that I've been enjoying reading your comments, and it's been really fun. Today I was thinking about what topics to talk about, because before I just kind of did it on the fly and I wanted to have kind of an idea on what to talk about. So I wanted to ask you what your drink preference is. So are you a coffee person? Are you a tea person? For me, I like both, but I definitely need coffee in the mornings more than, yeah, I don't drink tea in the morning. Tea is my afternoon kind of break. And usually with tea, I like Asian teas a lot. So I drink like green tea or roasted. There are a few different kinds of green tea. So there's like the regular leafed green tea where it's in a either loose or in a pouch. And that one is called sencha in Japanese. So I really like that one too. And then there's that powdered green tea that you normally see. You just, you pour it into boiling water, you mix it up and drink it. And it's very, very vibrant green. That one is called matcha in Japanese. I really like that one as well. But my all-time favorite one is called hojicha. And hojicha is a roasted green tea. And it's brown in color, and it has a very earthy and nutty flavor, and it's quite good. My son likes it too, so I give it to him a bit diluted. And I'm trying to think, like coffee, usually I need coffee in the morning because honestly, I need something to kind of perk me up and wake me up. So I usually drink a cold brew that we make at home, or one of those drip type coffees. I don't know why I don't really like the coffee machine, the ground beans coffee. And recently we were gifted some coffee where it's the single serving ones where you just put it on top of a mug and then you pour hot water on top and let it slowly filter down. And I'm very excited to try that. We haven't tried it yet because we're trying to finish the cold brew coffee that we have. I'm really curious, so let me know in the comment box below what type of, what's your choice of beverage. And this week has just kind of flown by a bit, and it's getting warmer here already. And it reminds me why I make cotton, cotton garments, cotton everything, because the cold season here in Hong Kong is so little. So, it's I don't know, it's up and down these days. It's sometimes like super cold and then it's like super warm, super sunny. And to be honest, I am not a hot and humid kind of person, but that is generally the weather here most of the time. But right now it's kind of the exact beautiful type of weather that I love, where it's so comfortable to go outside and it's sunny and it's beautiful. Although, to be honest, I'm not going out all that much because there's been a recent, another, kind of like a burst of COVID cases. So we're trying to stay inside. So we only go down to our kind of podium area where we can, sit down or whatever we like. But we only go down there during the off time when we think not too many people are there, and we've been lucky. That's for sure. So I'm just curious where you are from, where if you're watching this. Of course you're watching this or you've already turned it off, but if you're still watching, I was curious to ask where everyone is from, because sometimes I'm amazed at the reach of YouTube and the reach in the yarn community. So it's interesting because obviously my friends in real life know, but a lot of my friends that I just meet through the yarn community, especially on Instagram, don't know is that I live in Hong Kong, which pretty much everybody knows, but I'm actually not Chinese. I'm Korean, and even at that, I'm Korean American. So it's fun when people find out. They're like, "Ah, what? You're not from Hong Kong?" But the interesting part is that I've been living in Hong Kong for quite some time. So it's going on 8 years now, and I love it here. I love the people, and I love the language. I love the food, which is just absolutely amazing with how diverse the food can be here. And it's a very wonderful kind of blend of East meets West, and it's great for a person like me who is Korean American. So I'm originally from America, and so even though Korean was my first language, and then, you know, growing up in America, my English got better because I went to school, you know, going to elementary school, middle school, high school, and things like that. And ESL definitely helped when I was in elementary school. I can't remember, but I feel like I was in it in middle school. But yes, honey. Oh, okay. It's okay. Did you finish it? Is that your assignment? Good. Yeah, my son's finishing up an assignment for his online learning. Right now it's not online, so he just has some assignments to do. Good job. And so basically, I sometimes, you know, actually I really miss back home, but I found that Hong Kong is my new home. I mean, not only in the sense of the present that I'm just living here, but I found that it feels like home, which is rare when I don't know for anyone else that's moved to different countries, but you know, I've lived in different countries before too, and well, actually different countries. No, I've only lived in one other place, but it never really felt like home. It felt like I was visiting, not even visiting because I lived there for years, but it felt like eventually I'll move, that kind of feeling. And Hong Kong is one of the only places where I really feel it's my home, and it feels really great. And living here as somebody that is Asian American, it's very, very nice. People speak English here, and the mannerisms are very similar. And I love that, you know, the Chinese culture is there's so much to it. It's such a long history, and it's so lovely to read about all that stuff. Yeah, I have a few books that my in-laws gave me, and you know, I forgot to mention also my husband is originally from Hong Kong, born and raised here. So, you know, we're very lucky to have some family that are here. And I feel like for my son, who is now, you know, living here, and he's also half Chinese, it's a wonderful opportunity to learn about where his father's side came from. And it's also a good opportunity for me to learn about those things as well. And so I really love Hong Kong. It's really a wonderful place. If any of you haven't been here, you should come. It's obviously when things are safe to travel again, and whenever that may be, and I do believe that it will happen. I do believe it will. I hope it will, because there's so much to see in the world, but it's beautiful here, and the food is wonderful. And it's just, you know, being from New York originally, you think that New York is so big and so busy, and the buildings are on top of one another, and you kind of have that kind of city feeling, right? Because it is one of the greatest cities in the whole world, and I love New York too. But then when I came here, I just had like a huge shock, because it's like New York, but just 100 times bigger. It's so crazy to me. And to be honest, it's really, it feels like an Asian New York, sort of, in the city feel and the way that people live their lives here. And it's, yeah, anyway, I'll stop talking about Hong Kong, but one day you should visit. Really, the people are so lovely, and it's just, and I didn't know until recently, not recently, like within the past few years, that actually the official language that's spoken here, which is Cantonese, it's one of the oldest languages. And they say that it's the original Chinese spoken language in all of China, which is amazing. And so I'm reading about this kind of stuff in the books that I got, because I just think that history and language are just so interesting and so inspiring. And I just realized it's 11 minutes, so maybe I'll just only work on this blanket today, so I don't have to keep switching back and forth. But I also really love languages. So there was a point in time when I took Spanish, and I took Spanish for like 7 years, and then I had to take French because, I had other things that I had to do with French, and I was required to learn Italian. But to be honest, I forgot most of it because I don't use it anymore, the French, Italian, and Spanish. And then I also, because actually I'm Korean, but my grandmother is Japanese, so I have a little bit of Japanese, so I grew up with some Japanese as well. So I grew up with this kind of like mixed household where we spoke Korean and we spoke Japanese, and then when I went to school, I spoke English, and it was a really wonderful mix at home, and it was very enjoyable. And then I try to speak mostly Korean when I can to my son. And I've also, I've learned Mandarin as well, but my Mandarin is quite bad because I also don't use it anymore. And then I tried to learn Cantonese for my in-laws, because I really love to, it makes them happy, basically. It makes them very happy when I do that, because who wouldn't, right? When you show respect to someone's culture and language. So for a while I was, not for a while, still learning. And I occasionally will whip out my Cantonese when I can, and then they're always so impressed with it. And the funny part about Cantonese is that every single syllable or word or whatever, the character has a specific tone. So there are lots of different tones, like musical type tones, like a high tone, low tone, wave tone, high wave tone, low wave tone, a straight low tone, straight high tone, mid tone, no tone, things like that. So Cantonese has 9 different tones, and so if you say something differently, it might not mean what you think it means. There have been times when I was trying to say something normal, say a number or something, and then lots of people are like, what are you saying? What is that? And I ended up, instead of saying like the number 9 or whatever number I was trying to say, it was a curse word. So it's very funny like that. And even, for instance, if you say mother, like a child's mother, and then you say the paternal mother, paternal grandmother, and then horse, and I'm feeling so, that's so, those are all the same sound. Like they all have the word ma. The sound is ma. They're all spelled differently, obviously, and the tone is different. But you could say any of them in different tones and it means something completely different. So if you say like, a high, I can't remember, I think it's a high tone, it's a mother. And if you say it a low flat tone, it's paternal grandmother. And then if you say it like kind of like a wavy style, then it's like I'm feeling so-so. It's all right, or something like that. And it's just really funny how just a slip of a tone can really change the meaning of the word. And it's been a learning curve, and it makes for funny conversations sometimes. And Cantonese also has these really, you know, kind of like local sayings that are only prevalent in Hong Kong, or maybe I don't know if it's prevalent in the Guangdong region, because they also speak Cantonese. But there are some phrases that are just, you know, it doesn't, if you try to translate it, it's like weird. It doesn't mean anything in particular, but the way you say it means like it's appropriate for a certain situation. So I'll give you an example. It's there's one called what is it? Is it? See, I don't want to ruin the language because I don't speak it natively, but there's one that is gaucho. Gaucho is like, what the heck, you know, or something like that. Like, it's not in a really terrible way. Obviously, you wouldn't say this to someone older than you, but I just found that just amazing, because it's just kind of like, if someone were to say like, someone cut me in line, gaucho, you know, or you could even say it like commiserating with somebody if something happened, and then you're like, oh, why that happened? I can't believe that. It's this, something like that. So it's a really fun word. And then I also love, I think Mandarin is similar to Cantonese in the way that they shorten and is very concise what they want to say. So if you wanted to say like, what is it? If you wanted to say, you want it? You know, do you want this? Or do you want this? Instead of saying, do you want this? They would just say want, not want. So you get to choose. You either say want or not want. So I really find that the way the language is, and then translate it into English, helps me really understand my, like, not only my in-laws, but, you know, my friends who speak Chinese first as their first language or their mother tongue. Because in English, I'm sure that many of you are aware, because you're listening to me, which means that you probably speak English, or English is your first or second language. But there are lots of filler words, and I feel those filler words can soften what you're saying a lot. So instead of me saying like want or not want, right? Normally in English we'd be like, oh, this yarn is so beautiful and I was thinking of you, would you like this? And that there are a lot of words to say the same thing, but in Chinese they would say you. I don't speak Chinese that well, so don't judge me, please. I'm a foreigner. But you would just say you, and then you could say you, that means I want it, or you, which I don't want it. And it's very concise and to the point, which I love, because I always feel like my friends that are Chinese, it's like they are very direct with me and very honest, and I really love that. And there's nothing to there are not a lot of filler words, so I know exactly what they're saying, what they're thinking, and I love that. And not to say that I don't love English. I love English too, because I think English is brilliant. It's amazing that most of the world can speak it, and because of that, we're able to communicate with each other no matter where we are in the world. I mean, most people speak English that I've became friends with. So, and even in Korean, we have different ways of speaking. So if I were to say, would you like this yarn? There are different ways to say it. There's like a casual way to a friend, which is, you know, just casual. And then you can use honorific, which is adding more to, I don't know the proper grammatical term, but there is something that you change in the way you speak so that it shows more respect. So if it were like someone I don't know, or the shopkeeper, or, you know, there's like a friend that I don't know well, then I would raise my speech in a more respectful manner. And then it feels like it's not filler words because it's a way to speak, but it is definitely longer than the Chinese way of saying want, not want. So it's just interesting. I love languages. It's really cool. And Japanese is the same too. There are honorifics in Japanese as well. And it helps me, I think, when I'm learning the languages, or when I read a lot about linguistics in different cultures and the structural compound of the ways people speak. It really helps me understand actually how people are, and you know, how different we are. But anyway, that was a lot of talk about, you know, Hong Kong and culture and things. But yeah, so I'm Korean American and with a little bit of Japanese. So it really influences the kind of mother that I am as well, because I make a lot of Korean food, I make a lot of Japanese food, and I actually, you know, I'm learning from my mother-in-law, but I'm making some Hong Kong food too, which is really, really delicious. And I'm not a very good cook, but you know, I try my best. And also because I'm from New York, I make, well, I don't think there's like a New York specific cuisine aside from pizzas and bagels, but you know, those things I usually buy, I don't make it at home. But yeah, I make American type food at home as well. So it's just an interesting hybrid of cultures that come together in our home, which I think that's kind of the core of America, isn't it? Where many cultures have come together to live in one place together. And I love that. And I have a lot of friends from many different backgrounds, right? Where some are just, you know, their family has been in America for as long as they can remember. And then I have friends that are, you know, Jewish Americans, Korean Americans, Taiwanese Americans, Chinese American, Indian American. I have friends from, their families are from Jamaica. I have friends from Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, as well as I have a friend from, where in Africa? I think it's Egypt. And you know, I've made lots of friends over the years and from so many different places, and it's just been absolutely amazing to learn about, you know, where their families come from, and to even go to their home and eat the food and just experience that. It's like one of my favorites. So language, history, and food. Those are my favorite things ever, because food carries so much culture, so much history, and so many stories actually. So I really enjoy that quite a bit. And now I'm almost hitting the 30-minute mark, and I have to get back to helping my son with his online learning. So I'm going to cut it out now. And I just want to thank you for sticking around, listening to me babble about my cultural influences and where my families are from. And I also want to thank you so much for sitting along and watching. I hope that you have a really wonderful day. Please let me know in the comment box where you are currently living so that I can get to know you more. And I hope that everyone has a safe, healthy, and happy week. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.